First of all, congratulations. It's not easy to get an offer, and getting to this stage is very, very difficult. So that means that you have stood up among many other people applying for the same role. And now that you have the power, you can negotiate, but use that power wisely. Okay, so negotiating your offer is just not something that is allowed. For me, something that it's expected. Okay, so in fact, over 73% of the people and of the companies expect candidates to negotiate. So don't be afraid of that. For example, at Google, when I was interviewing people, not negotiating the offer, especially if you were applying for sales roles, might be seen as a lack of confidence on how to discuss money, which for me was a completely red flag. So yes, you have the pen in your hand, but handle it with care, okay? Why does negotiation matters? Okay, negotiation matters because of a couple of things, okay? The first one is understand your total compensation. You do not need only to understand your fixed, but also your variable, the equity, and the benefits and perks, okay? Your variable pay, for example, some of the companies offer you less fixed and more variable, but you need to understand if those targets are achievable before accepting an offer, okay? Negotiation affects your long-term career 100%, okay? So negotiating beforehand helps you with your future impact. What am I saying this? Because, for example, in the tech companies, the seniority levels are marked with different levels. If you accept an offer in, let's put it this way, level 3, but your seniority could be level 4 and you don't negotiate during that process, what's going to happen is that getting into level 4 is going to take you at least 2-3 years. So obviously it's going to impact the future in your company and your promotion cycles as well. Now we're going to move into okay, yeah, this sounds very simple and very easy, but how do I negotiate an offer? Okay, so the first tip is to research, okay? You don't, negotiating is an art. You don't negotiate without info, okay? So you need to talk to people in similar roles. You need to understand the company seniority levels, as I mentioned before, with the levels in big tech. You need to understand industry benchmarks, not only for pay fixed, but bonuses and also for perks. And if you're applying to a startup in the tech ecosystem, you need to understand how equity works or different vesting opportunity windows, okay? So because negotiating is an argument and every argument needs a solid case, okay? The two moments that you're going to be talking about money is one with HR, and once the offer is done, once you know that they want you, then you negotiate at the end, okay? But the first step is always going to come with HR. So the HR conversations, I get a lot of questions about this. You give the numbers, not precisely. You don't give a specific number. You give ranges, okay? So when they ask you about salary expectations, you respond with a range, not a fixed number, okay? You need to take into consideration different factors such as bonus, equity, perks. And if you're changing roles or changing industry, make sure that you add that 15 to 20% max to the question of what you're earning at the moment, okay? Don't bluff because they will find out. If they ask you directly, what are your expectations in terms of salary with this role, flip the question and ask them back. Okay, so you need to ask HR, you to them, what are your expectations towards this role in terms of salary? They're probably gonna give you a range, and then you're gonna find out if it's off for you, you're not interested, or it actually gets into your range. If they insist in knowing what your range is, what you have to do is tell them that it can vary, and then you put the different factors. You put the fixed, you put the variable, you put the bonus, you put the perks, you put the benefits, you put everything, including equity, in one role. And then you say, listen, my salary expectations would be between X and Y. That's how you have to answer. Never give a specific number, okay? That gives you, why am I saying this? Because that gives you room to move and room to negotiate, okay? Another thing that I get a lot is, please wait for the offer, okay? Don't negotiate before being selected. The power to negotiate comes once you have been selected. If the offer is labeled as non-negotiable, try to negotiate for benefits, for flexibility, stock, or even a signing bonus, okay? There are many different ways to negotiate, and it doesn't always have to be through the fix or through the variable. Step 4, and this is very important, and I get this a lot. You need to negotiate with a rationale. You need to justify why you're negotiating, okay? So before, jumping into the negotiation itself, you need to build a case. And how you build a case, okay? So if you're asking for more, be clear on why, okay? And it could be different options. It could be that, your current salary is above that you have another offers that are above that, and you can use that argument. Another argument that you can use is that, jumping into that role, into the offer that you have gotten, it implies like more responsibility and more risk in terms of performance, which is also an argument that you can use to negotiate and go a little bit more higher. Another thing that you can use is the deferred bonuses or unvested that you're going to be walking away. In other terms, the money that you're losing by changing roles. You can use that as well. Signing bonus, relocation, anything on that, okay? Another tip that I'm going to give you is that pick your battles, okay? If you want more base or more equity or better benefits, negotiate everything at once, okay? Don't negotiate with HR the fix, and once they have accepted, and then you want variable, and then you want equity. That doesn't work, okay? It's going to be seen as a red flag. So build your case and negotiate everything at once. And then considering your total compensation, okay? Salary is just one part of the equation. There are many more things that you can negotiate about, okay? So things about perks such as flexible hours, remote working, health insurance. Health insurance is a lot of money that it doesn't go into your salary, but it's a lot of money that you're saving. Stock options could be something in the long term that could be very helpful. Extra vacation days, relocation packages, or for example, gym or meal vouchers, or even getting a massage. At Google, I remember that they were paying for people to go in to have a massage. And then another very important tip, you need to confirm everything in writing, okay? If a better offer is agreed by the phone, always request it in writing, okay? Verba volant, scriptum manent. That's very fundamental. That's a conversation that you might have with HR. HR might say yes to things that you're asking, but you want it in writing, okay? And then, very important, even if it feels like a dream offer, take a day or two. Okay, that space is going to help you think, assess, and act with confidence. And if you don't want to negotiate, at least make sure that you have a call with HR asking about all the doubts that you might have before saying yes and signing immediately. I don't know, maybe you can negotiate the starting date or a signing bonus. Okay, it's a game, just have fun. But overall, when it feels right, just go for it. And congratulations for getting that offer. Okay, so, and for the final stage of the course, please, I'm going to send you the do's and don'ts, okay? Do research and market rates, stay professional, be confident, show your value, okay? And negotiate holistically, as we said before. Don't rush. Don't lowball yourself. Don't negotiate too early, and especially do not negotiate between the two frames of HR and getting the offer. Don't make illogical demands, such as, but I want to work from Indonesia. Well, that's not part of the offer, so you should have done your research before. And obviously, don't drag it out. But anyway, congratulations.